couple things. First of all, the first 3 verses, I think we have something pretty important. And that is simply that the mingling with unbelievers can lead to defilement. What happened here? Well, Jacob had a business in the area. This was now he's back to his homeland, but he's also with a lot of people who really, if we look back at it from our end, we're ungodly people. We're definitely not believers. What he was bringing his family in that area, much some similar to what we do. Sometimes we interact with people, and we often have to interact with people throughout the week who might not be believers, and there's nothing wrong with that. And that wasn't the issue here. We're going to talk about that as we get to it in a moment. But what did happen is Jacob's children were going to interact with those around them. And again, that's God has made us social creatures. God has made us people that are social. But what Dinah did, by the way, what happened to Dinah was not her fault. I don't want to say that. And anytime someone's sexually assaulted, it is not the fault of the victim. But sometimes interactions with unbelievers can lead to some pretty horrible things. What Dinah did do is the text seems to indicate that she wanted to get out and she wanted to meet people, and the text in the Hebrew seems to indicate that she knew she was probably going to be interacting with some people that she didn't need to be interacting with. There are lost people that we interact with, and then there are people that we need to be very, very careful of interacting with. And Dinah didn't seem to have regard for that, but frankly, neither did her brothers. The number one job that I have as a dad is to lead my children, bring them up in the nurture and admonition of the Lord. And an offset of that, an offshoot of that, I guess, if you will, is that I protect my kids. Jacob doesn't seem to really be too concerned about that, and which is a horrible, horrible thing. By the way, just so you know, last week, remember we talked about biblical love is based on commitment. Reason why I got up early last week and reworked my message, because I wasn't thinking all last week, and this was the message I had prepared for last week. I just didn't feel it appropriate on Valentine's Day, because this is a pretty tough one. I think there's some great lessons here, and the lesson for us to understand, especially those who are younger, we have some young ladies in here this morning. When your parents put restrictions on you, it is for your protection. Jacob didn't do that. And look what happened. And we have some young men here that I would say the same thing. Protections on you are important. Protections on you are valuable, because they will keep you, hopefully, from disastrous results. That's what happened here. I mean, and it wasn't just that she went out and wanted to see what the neighbors were doing. That she went out and probably went to the equivalent of going to the worst part of town at the worst possible time, and going into a party, into a rave, or whatever the case may be. And this is what happened. It was a horrible, horrible thing. Because of this, some will say, and some of the commentators tried to make argument that we should never mingle with the lost people. Yet that is silly. It's unbiblical on several fronts. The Bible teaches us that we're to be in the world and not of it. Paul tells us that we're to interact with the lost culture around us. In fact, in 1 Corinthians 5, boy, we don't really have time to go there. But I encourage you to read 1 Corinthians 5. And specifically around verses 5 through 11, Paul deals with, in there, that's another tough passage. Paul is dealing with an incestuous relationship that was happening within the church of Corinth.